want to start with earnings. What do the results tell you about consumer behavior and how things will change as vaccines continue to roll out this year when it comes to buying on e-commerce?
Oh, and thank you very much for having me. And it's a really great question. So honestly, we just reported our 2020 earnings, which, payment volume was up 10% year over year. But that is much more of an indication of the share that we've been, successfully able to take in the market, as opposed to some of the recovery results, which you don't really start to see until really this current quarter. And that's why we also shared volume data or payment volume data in January and February, where you were starting to see some real significant year over year volume growth. In fact, the last 2 weeks of February, 7 of the 8 highest volume days in our company history happened during that time period. And if you recall, you had Texas without power. You had some really significant weather that paralyzed a good portion of the country. So even under difficult circumstances, consumers were getting out and re-engaging in commerce. And we definitely attribute that to vaccine restoring, the vaccine proliferation restoring some consumer confidence.
Right. So you're getting into the stadium app and concessions technology market with this new acquisition of VenueNext. Why do that when we're in the middle of a pandemic and not many people are going to the concession stand right now?
Well, it's a good question. There's a lot of answers to it. So for starters, there's been some stadiums that are still standing like, a few thousand years later. So we're really confident that the market's going to come back and people are going to want to go back into the stadium environment and, support their teams and visit concession stands and such. But why would Shift4 choose to enter it? So we have 200,000 customers. We have about 35% of the restaurants and hotels in the United States use some form of Shift4 payment technology. And where we really excel is in the most complex ends of commerce, when you have multiple different types of software that comes together and needs to be networked together to deliver a really efficient experience. And what we found in stadiums is it's very similar to resorts. You have ticketing, you've got restaurants, you've got bars, you've got in-suite ordering, and that is an attraction to us because we like solving and simplifying, complex forms of commerce. So we had Raider Stadium, which we announced last year, and then we acquired VenueNext so we could deliver a really vertically integrated experience to the sports and entertainment market.
Right. All right, I got to ask you about the latest SpaceX launch. I know you congratulated Elon Musk. Of course, we saw it land and then explode. Curious if that makes you at all a little more nervous or terrified. I know you said you're not scared about going to space, but what your reaction is to that.
Okay, so important to keep in mind, we're talking about 2 different types of rockets here. So I will be going to space later this year with 3 other crew members in low Earth orbit, and we're going to do it on a very reliable Falcon 9 rocket. In fact, it's been certified by NASA for human spaceflight. It's the only NASA-certified human rocket in the United States, and it's the first time we've been sending human beings back up into space from U.S. soil in nearly a decade since space shuttles retired. These are the rockets that you're seeing do those cool self-landing tricks on ships in the water. So, super reliable technology. I'm hyper confident in it. What we saw, explode a few days ago, now that's Starship. Now that's not taking us to low Earth orbit. That's taking people many, many years from now to the moon and Mars and beyond. That's a brand new developmental rocket. And people at SpaceX are cheering when they see it explode because they know they're getting good data. They're failing fast so they can make progress and get like human beings, to another world and beyond in the near future. So 2 different programs, but both equally exciting.